Okay. Hi. Thank you so much for coming in today. I know that it is not easy showing up. You're being really brave for being here. So, Kendall, are you feeling okay today before we get started?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Just, kind of going through the motions this week. So,
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here. Before we, dive into everything, I just want to go ahead and, you know, just reassure you that whatever you do say here is confidential. This is a safe place for you to just come and for you to be honest about what's going on. The only reason I would ever need to report anything would be if I had concerns that you were going to hurt yourself or others. But other than that, this is really your time. And I want you to be honest and be able to come with whatever you feel like you need to talk about that day. Does that sound okay?
yeah, that sounds good.
Great. Well, so I know you were referred here by your PCP, and she had mentioned there were some depressive symptoms you were worried about. Does that sound right?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, I'm not super clear or maybe fully understanding of like depression and all of that, but I do feel like maybe what I'm experiencing could be somewhere along those lines. So I was talking to her about it a little bit and she just referred me here. And my husband's also been encouraging me to come to therapy for a long time now, but honestly, it's just not something I've ever thought about doing. So I've just kind of put it off.
Yeah, no, I think that's totally normal. I think a lot of people feel that way, or you think you can just, eventually shake it, or, but when it gets to be persistent like that, it's really important to follow up, and I'm really glad you did. So, I know you said that you're not super clear about, what depression means and what that might look like, and that's totally okay. That's why you're here today, is for us to kind of learn together and unpack that. So just kind of fill me in. Why were you coming in for some psychiatric help today?
Um, well, I've just been honestly feeling really like down recently. Not really myself at all. And it's been going on for, I mean, a little over like a few months, so like 3 months or so. I mean, I think at first, when it first started happening, I just tried to ignore it, act like it wasn't there, or was just having like an off day, or was just all the excuses, I guess, that I could come up with. But then these feelings and these emotions just never really went away, or they haven't really yet. And they do kind of come and go. Like I do have some good days and I have some bad days and some days in between, but I'd say that more so than not, I'm feeling just like almost absent. Like I can't really be myself around others, especially like helping my kids. I'm not really able to like even just pull myself out of bed. Like I feel like I'm just really struggling to even get my day started. And whenever I
Mm,
do get my day started, I just feel like it's just a race to the finish line of getting kids in bed so I can finally just be by myself and like be alone and crawl back in
mm,
bed and just dread having to do it all over again the next day.
yeah.
Um, so
Wow.
it's not been really easy, and I do feel bad just because like I want to be able to be there and be present, but and I know it's probably hard on my husband coming home from a long day of work, and I'm just not myself, not really interested in anything and not really wanting to talk or anything like that. So, yeah, I just
Yeah.
feel drained and not really like myself.
Wow. I'm so sorry. That sounds really hard. And I know that it sounds like it's affecting just your day-to-day life. And, I know that when something affects everything, it just makes it a little bit harder. And so I really appreciate you being honest about that, and you being, so real about how you're feeling. And um, I want to kind of unpack some of that with you and, look at that a little bit closer. So what would your goal be during our sessions together? Because I want to make sure that we make the most of your time.
I think I'm not really sure. I guess my goal in general is just to feel more like myself, to feel more like I used to be and how it was like a year or even just a few months ago before I got in this pattern. I just want to be able to like go throughout my day and just like enjoy my kids and enjoy just, the things that I used to enjoy. And now I just feel like it's just like an internal battle of even just getting through each day.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. That sounds so hard. And you are so brave to come and advocate for yourself and be in here. Um, that lets me know what we're working towards and just kind of how we want to dive into specifics as, we're working through these feelings. Does that sound okay with you?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Great. So let's kind of get into the nitty gritty. So, you said you just felt really sad and really empty. And you don't have any energy to get going in your day. Does that sound correct?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And you said this has been going on for, 3 months about. So when was the last time you say you would feel like yourself?
Um, you know, I don't know. I feel like a lot of times just having kids and everything, it's like, oh, who am I anymore? So, but I definitely feel like I've adjusted well before this has all been come up. And I have 3 kids now, and each one has come with like, its ups and downs. But
Yeah.
when I had my last one about 8 months ago, I feel like I bounced back really quickly and I was doing pretty well. It was an adjustment just trying to like navigate everything, but I feel like,
Yeah.
being pregnant and all of that with him, I definitely felt more like myself. Like I didn't really have any other issues. And then after he was born, I felt pretty normal. I mean, as normal as you can feel trying to adjust
Yeah.
to 3 kids. But yeah, and then before that, I can't tell you a time I've really felt this way before. So I would say any time before these 3 months, I've kind of felt more like myself than I do now.
Yeah. So it's just really picked up in the last 3 months.
Yeah.
Gosh, I'm so sorry. That's a long time to be feeling that way. So would you say you have experienced any excessive worry about the things going on in your life? Anything, specific that you're feeling anxiety about or that's really weighing on you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would say just being able to be a good mom has been really hard for me. I've been really worried and anxious that I'm just being too absent, and because I can barely just pull myself together. And I just feel like that's obviously going to take a toll on my kids too. So that's
Yeah.
definitely been a lot of anxiety recently, is just like internally like wanting to be better and change, but not being able to.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. And that sounds like it's just so frustrating and feels a little helpless.
yeah.
Um, what about panic attacks? Do you just become afraid for no apparent reason or, just get this overwhelming sense of fear in your stomach?
I've kind of off and on my whole life. I can get anxious in moments and feel like I'm like having a panic attack. I don't know if I've ever had like a full-blown panic attack, but I
Yeah.
definitely would say that recently it's been more like towards a panic attack than I've ever experienced before, just because I'll get so wrapped up in all these emotions of not being able to be, there for everybody, feeling helpless, kind of feeling like almost like just hopeless and worthless and all of the things, and like all those emotions I feel like have just sent me over the edge sometimes. And I mean, my husband's been able to calm me down a lot of times, and in those moments I've been able to like call other people like my mom and other support systems, and they've been able to kind
Yeah.
of help me work through that like verbally. But it has been more tough than
Yeah.
before.
I'm so sorry you are feeling that way, but I am super grateful that you have a great support system and have people that you can reach out to. Safe people, especially when you're feeling like this, are so important in our healing journey. So, but I am really sorry that those have been coming up because I know that can be really difficult.
Yeah, it has
Um, would you
been.
say you've ever had periods of time where you felt, just really up and had a whole lot of energy or, um, have you ever felt, just way more irritable usually than you normally were before? How has that kind of fluctuated?
I don't know if I would say that I have these like really big, I guess, like mood swings like that. I would say it's like I definitely go a little bit up and down, but it's not so like drastic, I would say. Like I said before, just some days are a little bit better than others, but I'm more irritable maybe than before, but I
Hmm.
don't know if I'm to a point where it's like such a drastic difference unless someone really knew me well before, if that makes
Yeah, absolutely. So would you say you ever feel like you have trouble remembering things sometimes? Do you ever lose track of time? Maybe even feel like there was events that happened in your life that you knew you were there, but you just don't remember all the details. Does that resonate with you at all?
Um, Not really. No.
Okay, gotcha. So you said you've never experienced, a period of time where you just didn't sleep this much. Have you ever been on an excessive cleaning kick or, just made some risky decisions that you normally wouldn't take or that just seem really out of character for you?
I don't know if I could say that. Um, I'm just trying to think. I don't really think so.
Uh, okay. So do you ever see or hear things that maybe people around you don't see or hear that were concerning to you?
Um, no, not mm-mm.
Okay. What about any intrusive thoughts or, any unwanted images or thoughts? Is that something that resonates with you?
Well, intrusive thoughts. Can you tell me more about what that would look like? I don't know.
Yeah. So, sometimes we can just be going through our day-to-day life and we feel really good about things and we're in a good place. And then all of a sudden we can just, get these compulsive thoughts or,
Yeah.
an intrusive thought. You could be driving down the road and all of a sudden you just feel like you need to swerve your car and hit the tree. Or, something really drastic like that that can
Mhm.
scare you often at times. Has anything ever like that happened to you?
I think more than anything, most of my thoughts are like losing my kids, maybe. Or
Yeah.
not because I've not been a good mom to them. And sometimes I think that I don't know, I kind of like spiral in my head about if I can't take care of them this way and I'm just not being a good mom and they probably won't will stay with me, or maybe my husband won't want to stay with me, or
Mm,
I kind of have thoughts like that that I haven't really ever worried about before because we have a good marriage. But I also
yeah.
know that having a partner who's like not, being very helpful can be a burden. So
Yeah.
I guess I have thoughts like that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that with me. I know that you have a lot on your plate, and that sounds like it can be really difficult managing those thoughts. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
So, do you ever feel like there are any certain physical acts that you need to, um, do or, complete in order to make any of these thoughts go away? Some of them, won't go away on their own unless you complete an action. It can even be something as simple as, having to do something 4 times specifically, or does that resonate with you?
I don't think so. I think usually the thoughts kind of come and go. And usually I don't really like verbalize them, but when I do, like to my husband or to anyone else in my family, they always are like, no, that's not true. Like, that's, you can't like listen to all of that. So
Yeah.
I think that they kind of just come and go, but it's not really something that I feel like have to control or anything. Um,
Yeah. They just come out of nowhere.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow. I'm so sorry. I can't imagine how scary that feels for you.
Yeah, it's been a little bit more tough than I expected.
So, would you say you're a person that struggles with self-esteem issues?
Yeah, I would probably say that. Um, I just kind of am more like perfectionistic in everything that I do, so I just relate and everything relates back to how I view myself and how like my self-worth is found in, I guess. I know that's not the best thought process. So I've really like tried in my adulthood to shift that thought. But I still honestly like my just innate self wants to be able to do things to a certain standard to be able to
Mhm.
prove myself to
Yeah.
others and to myself. And so I just feel like now more than ever, it's really low, I guess, because I haven't been able to do things to the best ability at all, like in terms of my kids or just taking care of myself or just being a good
Yeah.
wife or homemaker or anything. I've really
Mm.
been falling behind in a lot of things. So
Well, be gentle with you. It sounds like you're doing your best. And sometimes that's all we can do is just keep showing up. And I know your people, they understand and they support you in this. And so I'm really grateful that you've come here today. So, you've said that you've had a hard time getting going and you've been feeling this like worthlessness and sadness. Um, would you say that you've lost, like really totally lost an enjoyment um, of things that you used to love and enjoy, or, have hobbies that you used to consistently do that maybe have fallen by the wayside?
Yeah, honestly, I just think that I barely have the energy and effort to put into just doing things around the house or doing things with my kids. I just don't feel like I have the time or really like any desire. Like it doesn't even pop in my head anymore to even want to go do certain things like working out or spending time with my
Yeah.
friends. Like I just don't even have the capacity to even think about that. Mm.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so sorry. I know when you're feeling that all over your body and in your mind, it can be a lot. Um, I'm so sorry. Would you so you discussed that you've been feeling these symptoms for about 3 months. Would
Mhm.
you say that they've been about consistently the same every day, or have they changed from day to day? How would you categorize that?
I don't know. I'd say there's some days where I just feel like I can't even get out of bed. Um, I can't even really function at all. And I'm just like in this weird headspace. I don't even know how to describe it. And then there's some days where I don't really want to, and I'm feeling pretty down and just in like a dark place. But I know that, like responsibility wise, I have to. So I kind of do get up and I push myself through and I kind of just like I said, just try and make it to the end of the day. Um,
Yeah.
and so that's kind of back and forth, honestly. There's not really like it's not like it's every single day. It's like I'm stuck up in my room,
Mhm.
having to be by myself, but it's also not every day that I'm feeling like I can get out of bed and do my normal routines of life. So it's kind of like back and forth, kind of like
Yeah. So would you say there's a specific period of time that you feel this way? Is it more when you wake up in the morning or when you get home from work? Have you been able to pinpoint kind of any of those things?
probably when I wake up in the morning,
Okay.
I feel more so this way.
Yeah. So, just in your day-to-day life, as this has been going on, have you noticed any changes in your appetite? Has that looked any different?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely maybe eating less than I normally do, and I think this is also
Yeah.
just part of the fact that I feel like I can barely, get my kids dressed and fed for breakfast. I don't have a lot of time to even then think, "Oh, I also need to do that too." And it's not like I'm intentionally, like, starving myself, but I just feel like I don't even really think about it anymore.
Yeah. Gosh, I'm so sorry. I know that's so hard for you. What about your sleeping? I know you said that you woke up and those were kind of the hardest moments of, getting started and really feeling like you can get yourself going. Are you feeling like you're sleeping okay, or do you just kind of feel like you're not really getting a restful night of sleep?
Yeah, I kinda just don't feel well rested ever, and I just feel exhausted all the time, if I'm being
Mm,
honest. Even though I try to go to bed at a good time, I still feel like doesn't matter what I do, I can't ever feel like I'm not tired and not wanting to just, like, be in bed, be by myself, be alone. Um,
yeah, I know that's hard to work through. Has anyone mentioned that you seem like you're moving faster or slower than usual since you started feeling this way?
Not really, I don't think no one's said anything if they have noticed it.
Yeah. And your energy level, is it always low? Do you feel like you're always just kind of running on empty, or every once in a while, could you get a burst of energy and then that, sadness and emptiness comes back? How does that look for you?
Um, I I would say more than not, feel like I'm running on low. I feel like I'm, like, giving all that I all that I have.
Yeah.
Even though maybe it's not, like, the most, like, exhausting or draining of a task. Um, so that's I mean, that's the normal, I would say, recently, but, I mean, yeah, every now and then, if I'm having a better day, I'll be more encouraged to do something different.
Yeah. I totally understand. And you mentioned some feelings of, not feeling like a good mom and, not feeling like you were being what you needed to be for your family. Um, so I'm sensing there's some guilt bubbling up in there. Do you just feel this, towards your family, your husband and your kids, or do you feel like this is kind of seeping into some other relationships in your life?
Probably just mainly in the dynamics of my kids and my husband. I do feel a lot of guilt there.
Yeah. So tell me about your concentration levels. Are you having a hard time concentrating right now, or do you feel like you can at least get going enough to do what you need to do?
I mean, I think I can at least get going enough to, if I put my mind to it, I can accomplish it, but it just may be more difficult than it probably should be.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you sharing all this. I know sometimes when we do these intakes, it can feel like a lot and it can feel overwhelming, and it might be bringing up some stuff for you. But this is going to help me as your practitioner to really, tailor our plan to meet these needs. And so I really appreciate your honesty. And I have a few more questions that we need to get through, and then we can wrap up today's session. Um, so have you ever had any thoughts of, wanting to harm anybody or harm yourself, or, just any feelings of violence?
No, no. Mm.
Okay. And you haven't felt that way at any other point in your life, maybe in childhood, or, an intense rage that comes up that you can't really pinpoint?
I don't think so. No, not that I can ever remember.
Okay. Um, so I would like to switch gears just for a minute. And I just kind of want to get a better idea of what life was like for you growing up and what some of those dynamics looks like. Would you be okay to share some of those things?
Yeah.
So you mentioned that this has just been going on for 3 months, and you don't remember any time as a child where you were feeling, a similar way, or just drained in energy, or whoa, you just felt so off and couldn't pinpoint it. That was never anything that was bothersome to you, was it?
Um, I mean, I don't really think maybe to this degree. I think that there was like one time when my parents, we moved away and I was going into my freshman year of high school, and I felt, I mean, a little similar just because I had moved across the state or the country, and I just didn't really have any friends. I was going into high school, and I was just really like upset. So
Yeah.
I did feel similar, I guess, now that I think about it, but maybe not to this degree. Because then I kind of started school and I kind of got distracted, and did make friends, and I did sports. So
Yeah, and that's a huge life change. And so that would make sense that some of those feelings would be coming up. I
yeah,
really appreciate you sharing that with me. Did you have any behavioral or learning disabilities when you were younger?
no, I didn't.
Okay. So, were you guys brought up in a certain religion, or were there any things in your home that were really important, um, as far as just, your belief system?
Yeah, we grew up like Christian in the Baptist church. But my parents have always been like really supportive of like, everything, considering all the kids that they had. They're really honestly great with like supporting, taking care of physical and mental health and stuff. Both my parents are in the medical field, so that's been
Mm,
really helpful for me if I ever did have any like serious issues growing up.
yeah, wow. It is so great that you had such attuned parents. That I don't think that's always the case. And so I'm really grateful that that was able to shape you.
Yeah.
Um, and you said your parents were married. Are they still married?
Yeah, they are.
Great. And, have they always, seemed to get along well, and, you know, maintain the peace in the home, or were there some disruptions?
No, they have always been really great and really a strong relationship.
Um, so what about your siblings? Do you have any full siblings or half siblings that you grew up with?
Yes, I have eight siblings.
Wow, 8 siblings. I bet you have all the stories.
I do. Yes,
Wow,
it was very fun growing up like that, but yeah, and we all have very strong relationships, so that's a great community for me.
great. So you get along pretty well. Are you still in communication with your siblings?
I am, yes, very much so. Me and my sisters are all very, very close together, um, and then me and my brothers. Some of them are still younger, but we're also really close.
Wow. That is so great. when you have those bonds with your siblings like that, I think it's just a relationship like nothing else. And so I'm
Yeah.
really glad you have that support system. So what about your mom and dad? Are you still close with your mom and dad, or has that kind of drifted?
Yeah, I'm still really close to both of them. Probably maybe closer to my mom just because we talk on like a really regular basis. But my dad's always been super supportive, and we do talk every now and then.
Yeah. I love that. So what about you? I guess you are married. How long have you been married?
We've been married for 7 years.
Wow, that is so special. That takes
Yeah.
a lot of hard work to get to that point.
Yes, it's been great though.
Yeah. And so tell me a little bit about your kids.
I have three kids. One I is 5, one's 3, and then one is 8 months old. Um,
Wow.
yes, so they're all boys, which is very
Wow.
fun, but very chaotic. But they are the best thing I always say that ever happened to me. So
Oh, I know they are. That those are some fun ages, but those are some full ages. And I
mhm,
know that they need you a lot. And
yeah,
so that can be a little tricky. It sounds like you're managing that so well.
yeah, no,
Um,
yeah, not so much these last 3 months maybe, but I do love them regardless. So it's been fun.
well, and they know you're just doing your best. And so thank you so much for sharing a little bit about your family. I know that you guys have such a beautiful life that you've created together.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that you kind of, wanted to get back into some things that you love doing together as a family. So, what were some of those things that bring you guys joy?
We just love, I mean, with my husband's work schedule, we try to do as much together as a family as we can, because whenever he's at work, he's usually gone for quite a long time. So, we like to go out into the parks or we like to take them to like museums and stuff. And we love to travel to go to all of those crazy
Mm,
fun museum for kid places all around the South. So we've done stuff like that before.
yeah.
Um, but really just anything together. I mean, we can be just simple Saturday at home, just spending time, quality time together is always fun.
Wow. Oh, that sounds like so much fun. And it sounds like y'all are building a lot of really special memories.
Yeah, we are.
I know it can be hard, feeling like you're missing out since you haven't really felt like yourself in the last short while, but
Yeah.
it sounds like you've created a pretty beautiful life.
Well, thanks.
So what do you do for a living?
Right now I've been staying at home. I was a nurse at the hospital, but recently I've just been since my last son I've had I've just been at home. I've taken some time off. And it's been
Yeah.
working out really well for us, but I do feel like it's made me like not like lose a sense of purpose, but I did love my job before. So
Yeah. So, do you feel like when you left your job, you almost kind of lost a piece of yourself, or do you feel like fulfilled being a full-time mom?
I definitely feel fulfilled doing it because they're all little, so they're all home with me right now. But I definitely still, it's still a little bit of a sacrifice, I guess, to have to not do like the job that you love and you trained so long for. And I did love
Yeah.
it. So it's been kind of like an internal like battle back and forth. Like I definitely miss it. Feel like I'm missing it a little bit, but then I also wouldn't rather be anywhere else but with my kids. So
Well, and I know you can't get those moments back.
yeah,
So everything's a season, but it sounds like you're right where you need to be.
yeah.
Um, so has there been anything that's ever happened to you or your family that could have caused some extra stress for you guys? Like, have you had any recent deaths or job losses or, just anything else major that might contribute to some of these feelings?
Yeah, my grandfather passed away back in April, so that's been a little bit tough.
Yeah.
He passed away a little bit before I gave birth to our youngest son, so that was kind of like a all over the place time period for us. But I think that we kind of
Yeah.
adjusted well. He was sick for a while, but yeah, it was tough.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for your loss. I know that when you lose important people like that, it's such a joyful time. It feels so bittersweet. And
Yeah,
I'm so sorry. I know that's a lot to work through. So did he or, anybody else in your family, has anybody served in the military?
yeah, actually, he did.
Oh, wow. That's really amazing. Um, so have you ever had any legal issues or, been in trouble with the law at any point?
No. Mm-mm.
Well, that's good to hear. So I know you said you and your husband, have a pretty strong relationship. So tell me a little bit about, your relationships before your husband.
Excuse me. Sorry, my phone's going off.
Excuse me, it's okay. So have you ever been in a relationship with someone who abused you? And that doesn't just mean somebody was hitting you. Have you ever, been spoken to, verbally or emotionally? Abuse can also be sexual. There's a, large array of a way that could look like. And have you ever felt like you've experienced that?
Honestly, no. I've never, thankfully, been ever in any of those types of positions.
Yeah. So you sound like you have a great support system. You sound like you have people that are really pushing you to be here and who are really supporting you in your mental health journey, which
Yeah.
is a huge gift and a huge asset as we're working through these things. Because I know even some of these questions might be a little triggering for you. So I'm really glad to hear that you've got some good people on your corner. So just tell me a little bit about your coping skills. Is there anything that you like to do when the situation starts to feel just really tough?
Honestly, don't know if I have any coping skills right now for how I'm feeling. I don't really know how to I guess cope with it. I've just been trying to shove it down and I don't know, honestly. And that's part of the reason why I guess I'm here because I feel like I don't really know how to either get myself out of this headspace or
Yeah.
to work around it. I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds really hard. And we're gonna work through some of things that you're feeling confused about. And,
Yeah.
we're gonna get a little bit of clarity. But so just a couple more questions and we're almost finished. Thank you so much for hanging in there with me. So just finishing up some of that family stuff, has there been any other mental health issues with any of your immediate family members? Has this, been going on with anybody else?
My sister has struggled with some mental health, especially when she was in college, some
Yeah.
depression, anxiety, and things like that, which she was on medication and other things for, which she's done amazing now. But besides that, no, nobody else that I know of has really struggled.
Yeah, I'm so grateful that she got the help she needed.
Yeah.
Um, So, and any history of substance abuse or, does anybody in your family have a history of, alcohol or drug abuse?
No.
So, what about you? Are there any, are you a drinker? Is that something that you like to go out and do? Are you a drug user? Is there anything that we just need to be aware of?
No, I've never really had any exposure experience with anything like that.
Okay. Um, so, is this the first time you've really committed to doing, a certain amount of sessions in therapy? And, is this the first time that you're really committing to a journey like this?
Yeah, this is the first time.
Well, I'm so glad you're here. You are being so brave. And so I'm assuming, have you been prescribed any other mental health related, medications or anything else through
No,
your PCP, or is this the first referral?
it was the first referral.
Great. And, you never taken any medications that you've had adverse reactions to?
No, not before. Mm-mm.
Yeah. And have you ever been, other than your children, I know you probably were in the hospital when you were giving birth, but, have you spent any time in the hospital for an extended period of time or had to, get, inpatient mental health treatment?
No, I've never had to.
Um, and no allergies that we need to be aware of going forward.
No.
Okay. So I think that about wraps us up today. I really appreciate you coming in. I know that this was a lot of information and a lot of stuff to unpack. And I really appreciate you being so brave and so vulnerable. I know that even just showing up today can be so hard. Is there any other questions or concerns that you have for me before I, look through this information and kind of get us a plan together going forward?
That's all I think from me.
Great. Well, I really appreciate you being here today. And, I'm going to come up with a plan. I'm going to sit down and review some of these things we talked about. And then next week we can go ahead and get started on what this will look like. Does that sound okay?
Sounds great. Thank you so much.
Great. Well, I hope you have a